Saffiano, the London tote's been critical. It's been half of the turnover on the non-shoe category, and we still think it's important. We've given it, I suppose, a bit more life. You'll have seen in all the designer brands, bicolour, tricolour, patchwork panelling is a critical trend. And this one was a way of playing with this. We have a little bet on the board on this bag because I really loved it when it came out. My team really loved it. And Neil, the CEO, looked at it and said, "You'll never sell one of those." And then we did these tours around the showroom with franchise partners and presenting to varying department stores, and Selfridges come in and House of Fraser come in, you can imagine. And always, it's the bag they all pick up. And then press had lots of call-outs for this to appear in magazines through autumn, winter. So Neil and I have a bet on, and I reckon I'm going to win this. This will be really good. So we've done that. We've also designed what in the industry are called tricks. So tricks or charms, which are these things that you can customise your bags with. So we've got mixtures, and I've displayed a few of them here, that sort of sit across the colours. So, for example, in these furry ones, you've got a bit of croc, a bit of Saffiano with all the colours. So across the different versions, we cover all colours so that you can make them go with any of them. So we've done detachable ones like this, also good for gifting. We've done lots of mini ones. You will notice that the trend is about having the same bag in lots of different sizes. So we've got these little micro London totes, which are cute for Christmas and gifting season. And we've also got lots of colours of things like this. And I'm going to attempt to do this and do it wrong, with mirrors and things, so you can put your lippy on. With this, which is always useful. The other thing we've done with Saffiano is created some new shapes. I'm not brilliant at talking about functionality. I'm definitely look, no substance when it comes to product. But for those girls more practical than me, it's got all these hidden compartments. So although this is an open bag, which you can do up to stop your things falling around, all your money and all your precious things can go in these two bags, and then there is another compartment inside with a zip and one without for the rest of your stuff. All our bags come with detachable shoulder straps, and then you've got an easy access front pocket for Oyster cards or bus passes or whatever people use. And I've put a little, these are obviously a separate category, and people can buy these separately or wedding to go with, and that's really cute. And you might have noticed that pink is becoming a core colour again, having been a sort of slightly Barbie associated colour. It's sort of a core colour that across all the really edgy brands they use, so you'll see it sprinkled around the collection, and I think it's really cute in this. We've also been inspired, let's say, by Fendi's best-selling bag, which you may or may not know is called the Peekaboo bag. It's 60% of Fendi's sales today. So this little bag looks like another bag coming out of a bag, and is a mixture of Saffiano with a croc print, again detachable shoulder strap, and looks particularly cute with the little charms. You'll start to realise, particularly as we get into the back of autumn, winter, into next spring, all these super edgy designers have gone to all the classic French brands. So brands like Dior, for example, are now being run by creative directors that come from the really trendy end of the world. And what that sort of means is that these rather ladylike shapes, where you can imagine a nice French lady with a poodle walking along, are suddenly very trendy again. So this ladylike look, for those of you that can cope with your life in a bag that small, are going to be more and more critical, and gives a girlier edge to our perhaps more practical going to work mummy with nappies, all the other stuff we all have to carry. So that's sort of Saffiano. We now have introduced, to take equal balance in our view with Saffiano at very similar price points. Again, I'm about as rubbish on prices as I am on names, but it's maybe 5% more expensive than Saffiano, but no more than that. Croc print. Croc by far is the biggest fabric for autumn across all brands. It's really critical. So you will see that the London tote is also done that. Camel is starting to appear as the new neutral. Nude is sort of being as a colour eaten up by pink and camel. Still there, we haven't killed it everywhere, but we're starting to see much faster rates of sales, better to do that. So you'll see the camel colour. Red is up, another key colour again for autumn, winter, and in fact all the pre-collections for spring 16, it's the biggest colour again, so that will take people over the top. And there is a Bordeaux colour too. So London tote. We've also done a backpack in here. When we first started Everything But the Dress in 2012, I suppose what we were most famous for at the beginning was the backpack. And we think it's an important season for the backpack, but we think there are two different sorts. We think there is this sort of more structured, formal backpack, which for sure you can use as a backpack, but you can also take it off and use it as a bag. Mulberry, for example, launched one with Cara this spring, summer, and it was their biggest item. So it's got all the hardware and all the associations of the London tote, but it's a backpack version. And then we've introduced a fashion girls bag, and perhaps Bobby, you could bring the shearling one for me to show. So this one Lara wore in the ad campaign with the Marabou feathered Beaumonts. This is rather overstuffed, I might add. I think I've put more stuffing in this, so it's made it look rather bulbous. It's that size. So for winter we've done this sort of look for proper winter, and for autumn for a bit more urban fashion girl, the croc and the furry panel, which I think are really cute. Shall I give you that one back before I ruin it? The other key things I suppose to talk about here is mini bags and even bigger bags. So this again is a bag that's been designed by or for me. If you think this one looks slightly battered, it's because I've been pinching it. I can't cope with little bags. I always have about 100 magazines, a couple of pairs of shoes, a makeup bag, change of clothes, my whole life. I always think you need enough to be able to run away if you need to. Your escape bag. So we have this, I think, amazing shape, and the brilliant thing about this, and again, I'm flaky on prices, so I can't tell you, but you'll see them in your stores soon enough. This is only about £15 more expensive than a London tote, and yet it's a lot more bag. Now this is for the girl that wants either nappies or work files, but wants to carry her life around, and if you're me, you use that in conjunction with a little crossbody. So this is where I put my purse and my phone probably, and that's where I carry the rest of the stuff in my life. And I think these are both quite chic and quite good value for money when you see the prices. So crop, lots of it. And then as a bit of fun, we have a series of micro London totes. You'll see the pink, they're in these jewelled colours of the season, and they're little bitty versions. And quite cute, we think. Press have liked these, haven't they? Yeah. And then, Bobby, can you bring me my favourite bag with the chain handle? Or have we not got it? Black. You will all know, I'm sure, that the satchel is critical. Again, bicolour, tricolour. So a tricolour super fashiony version that can be worn as a clutch or with handle. There's a nice little useful outer pocket there. And then for the rock chicks, with our woven plaited chain detail that you get on quite a lot of our shoes, you have this one, which I think is incredibly cute and very useful and nice. Again, all of these are detachable so that you can use it as a little clutch if you want to. Is this slightly more animal, more fierce, little bit Givenchy inspired section. This is for the wannabe Kendall Jenners amongst our customers and staff. And we've seen the success of details like that, which is now a core line for us, and matches the chain on the bag. But again, heels like that, you'll notice, because we think this is for an urban contemporary girl, the heels are a bit lower, a bit more fashiony, lovely in the animal. We've done the animal again in your core line here, and then taken that same story through boots. You will know, I'm sure, about ghillie ties become the court shoe of choice. More everyday versions, again not too high, and in the animal, in a very Givenchy way. And then you'll also not have missed this tassel thing becoming massive. In the designer world, Aquazzura is the sort of brand that's made this massive. Again, same Kendall Jenner customer.
We were trying those on yesterday.
Oh, were you? Which ones?
The tassel ones.
The sandals. This whole story of slightly more ethnic but in an urban way is really, really important. Again, you'll know your core line here, but done maybe more for Kim than Kendall. With the little heel tip and the studs and the little shimmy tassels. This one lovely for now. Again, you'll note the heel is a bit lower. Again, this provides a much greater choice against Carvela that tends to be a little bit more dress up. So these feel a little bit more urban and a bit more city. And the same story of tassels, of animal, of studs coming through sneakers too. And there are more, this is sort of hit one. You get another huge hit of this at the back end of the route. No doubt Sally will ask me to do this again. Part of our little Kendall story and the success of Native, we've got the new version, and again into the new Gladiator form. But as part of the sort of slightly more fashionista version of the sandals we saw over here, this sort of thing. Now, you either love a feather or you hate a feather. People are either terrified. I think you have a lot of feather phobias. And it sort of splits the whole of head office into half the room sits over there and half the room can't wait to get near it. But in the red, that's particularly Givenchy inspired, super fierce and very cool. But it's also nice in the black and natural too. Wow. Again, as part of this fiercer Kendall story, both more practical versions and a bit more look at me versions up here. And then again for the girl that wants people to say wow, with furry pom-poms in a more playful, younger, more aggressive way probably than Kurt Geiger. These two little creatures here. And then I told you that patchwork was important, and this sort of LA vibe, which you'll see come more in next spring. Boot like that we think will be really good. This has been a boot pulled out a lot by press, and we've used the same material over corks, both a new low price, so you now have a whole series of cute little everyday coats that start at 80 quid. This is a new opening price point for KG. We've not been as good value, I suppose, at the entry level as this. They're very cute, they've got all the identifiers on, super comfy, an extra layer of padding, and quite nicely finished inside in lots of different materials, and you'll keep seeing more colours come through. It's a bit of a trial for us, but we think there is room for quite a modern, lower heel, better priced version in KG. And then these, frankly, are mostly your best sellers. I suppose the one that I would highlight here is this clog. Now, I don't know how many people follow bloggers. If you do my job, you spend your life on Instagram following all the big bloggers. Chanel did a clog a lot like this 3 years ago on their runway. It was the sort of shoe that sold out within a week, that no one could get hold of. It didn't matter where I travelled, New York, Paris, London, couldn't get hold of it. This shoe, that's obviously long gone, has become the it shoe for the trendy fashionista bloggers, the original Chanel one, to get their hands on and wear again. And, I mean, they are now going, and I have tried, my PA has been searching. You're now paying £6,500 for the Chanel coat that looks like this, because there are so few and everyone wants them, and it's pushing the price up, even though they're 2 years old and they've been worn 100 times. But all the sort of it girls have got them. Therefore, it seems stupid not to have our version. They look particularly good with jeans rolled up, and this one is amazingly comfy with the trim that you'll remember from Monk. Historically, you'll notice the changes to modern store to make that work. So just to let you understand the collection and really how visual merchandising will work this season, we start with boots in this instance. That would depend on the stores clearly about the time of the year. But we start with the most weekend, depending on your job and your lifestyle. In my head, that's weekend. You're lucky enough not to go to work in that week. Going more polished and smarter into boots that definitely are about smart, professional, or going out, which leads us into occasions, starting at the most look at me, wow things, into an occasion for perhaps a different sort of lady, into day shoes and bags, and that's how I think a customer probably wants to shop. Therefore, you'll notice a little changes. So, crikey, what to pull out here? We know how well we've done with over-the-knee boots, our sort of Stuart Weitzman-inspired 50-50 versions. We've had wood, we've had wooden, we've had, what's the one we introduced last season in that doubly roll? I can't remember.
Was it walnut?
Could be walnut, we had loads of them. We still have, we don't think it's going away. If you want to know which I think in this world is the daddy of these, I think it's this one. I think this is a brilliant boot. We've spent a lot of time fit testing all of these. We have done super skinny legs, we've done super muscly legs, we've done chubby legs, we have tried all of them. And I'll show you smart versions, but if you want to know what I think gives you the right vibe and feel for a customer now that wants that 70s slightly softer feel but still polished, she still wants to feel dressed up, takes you from day to night, I think that's a cracking boot. And I suspect we now have to forecast, which would be the great thing, because we have to have repeats ready for when you want to go out, so we don't have a big gap while it comes back in. But we think this will be one of our best sellers. Vibe, we have a boot like this. So this boot, frankly, needs modelling because it's rather lovely as you walk and gives you quite a lot of attitude and makes you look a little bit more interesting, even if everything else in your wardrobe is frankly quite dull and you can't think of what to wear that morning. But again, it's practical, really comfortable, on a best-selling last, but with a lot of what makes something this season going on. Of course, your bestsellers, slow and whatever they're called, continue to run. Lots of versions of those. For proper winter, and perhaps to wear with your backpack, a super luxy, great for snowy weather biker with the buckles, but again, feels quite expensive, looks quite designery, doesn't feel like a camping biker, I suppose. I hope. Over the knee boots like them, again on flat, I told you you'd see a bit more brown. Over the knee boots with pleated soles and block heels. Then if you're super fashiony and have rather nicer and longer legs than me, a boot like that you may have remembered for last season, in fact spring 15. This, in a more exaggerated way, was Miu Miu's bestseller and in their ad campaign. Now that was for a spring season, always tricky for retail, but we think that sort of boot that clearly has an inside zip for easy getting on and off is really lovely and gives us a bit more of a weekend relaxed look. So that's the sort of most casual. We then go a little bit smarter, a little bit cleaner. So more high heels, whether you're super young probably, but you can never tell. Edgier girl that wants that slightly more Kendall does tough look. A really nice dressy version, and this one I actually have tried on and looks incredibly flattering. Makes actually my legs look quite long, which means I perform some, which is nice. Boots like this that I don't think we've been any good at historically. This one is worth a feel. Really, really soft leather. A sort of everyday boot that I think the business has missed a bit. Really nice, really soft. I suppose other than burgundy, which I've talked about already, that you'll see a lot of here, the other key material for boots, which you'll have seen from the Gucci ad campaigns in spring, is the snake print. And you will see, and I think some of you have probably seen bits of snake being delivered already. Lots of boots in varying colourways with a snake detail, so one with a little bit or one with a lot. It's still very much got that 70s feel. It makes it feel slightly more special, slightly more updated than perhaps a tan ankle boot has been historically. And really nice. We've obviously done quite a few in black too. And then again, I told you about 70s blocks. We've got versions on platforms. I mean, that's a killer boot. That could be a designer boot. Lovely little detail, beautiful burnished leather. I've spent 5 years trying to get the designers to burnish tan in a way that makes it look lovely. It has taken 5 years, but I think we've got there. And thank God we have this season because it's a big brown and tan season. So I think that's really lovely. Clearly, a boot like that, which we think will be a winner, comes in black and tan. But the press have loved this burgundy one. It's really, really loved it. And that's quite a kind burgundy, quite soft, will go with a lot. Again, I'm not going to push that up. Again, in the same vein, another boot that I think looks super expensive, particularly when you see it in this cognac shade and you feel it, is that boot. So this is the ultimate fashion girl boot, really. It's the sort of stealth fashion, because this is the boot that you probably won't have noticed, but whereas all those are quite practical, most of them have got inside this. This is a proper 70s pull-on boot, quite a modern heel height. The fashionista wants a heel like that, but I suspect there's also more classic like this with the return of that. But if you feel that and look at that leather, it's beautiful that way. And then also for the fashionista, but perhaps in a bit more of an overt way, the hero of our Lara campaign for this autumn-winter, this colour block suit. We've done this in black too, but it looks really special in the Bordeaux patent with the little red tab and the red tail, very faintly. That's about it. We've sprinkled a few flats around, and I'll talk about more flats in detail, but you will notice that constructions are getting heavier. People want, flats used to be the practical shoe that people wish they didn't need, but needed for a practical basis. They're now super fashionable. Therefore, you will see plotted around the collection a much greater amount of less casual category, because we can then think flat in our business or something. Reason best known to itself. In this case, in a very chunky way, with quite a classic top. We've got greys. I showed you a bit of chocolate in the story of over-the-knee boots over there. We've got a little bit of fawn. We've got more of this across price points than we've had before. And then really, I suppose it's about the real fashiony stuff now. This is sort of what people come to Carvela for. They love the wow designer looks of the season. And a lot of these are in the ad campaign. Now clearly this will be top store distribution. Everything in this room gets bought for the work. Therefore you can also service the customers through whatever you call your fancy little app that you've got. I suppose these two are the most fashiony. If Sarah, our head of press, was here, she'd say these are the ones you're going to see in every magazine. Watch the Dior show on style.com. This slightly, I suppose, fetish look becomes very ladylike. You know when I was talking to you about the Fendi peekaboo bag and the sort of lady that had the poodle? All of those dresses are now to be worn by something much sexier. So that whole Valentino look of lace, and very pretty and very girly and very feminine, often long shapes, whether they be culottes or sticking out skirt shapes, are to be worn with something that frankly resembles tights, because these are all stretched, so they're skinned to your leg. They're weirdly quite flattering. Because I think they've got quite a lot of stretch in them, they sort of, God knows where it goes, but perhaps if you lift up your skirt it's less pretty. But, the bits you can see look very good. Now this sort of wet look, knapsack look as it's called, is really important, but also velvet, particularly in these jewelled colours like midnight. Both of these are in the ad campaign for this season. And these are the sort of things that gives us the press amount we get compared with a lot of other people on the high street. We've done a more normal version, micro suede, gold heel, I'm sure is an easy sell. And then as part of this look, this bondagey look. Now this is very Kendall Jenner. This is what you want to wear as part of that Givenchy look, I suppose, that makes you feel like Kendall. Weirdly, not so tarty. You'll notice there's very little hardware on these. This is for quite a sleek silhouette rather than a wow, wow, look at me look. We think they'll be nice. And then for the girl that wants a bit more in your face, high fashion, a bit tartier, super high heel, super point, stretch so it won't fall down, and the coloured heel that's quite lovely. So that's the sort of high fashion going out boot part. And I must just tell you about this shoe. Talk to you about heavy soles. We designed this shoe because if you're one of those Celine or Chloe want girls, the loafer is the key shoe. That girl's moved off a sneaker 18 months ago. It's all about a loafer. And to make a loafer more modern, it's about putting them on these pumped up soles. The nice thing about these are they're quite light. We designed this, and then, and I shouldn't really tell you this, I had to go in the Celine showroom in Paris to have a business meeting for Spring Summer's budgets, and there was a shoe awfully similar in navy blue velvet. And of course we'd already done navy blue velvet over here, so a little picture from my pocket went to the design team. What should I put this? We were having to the stores a week before Celine had theirs for £850. God knows what this one is, but it's probably 69 or 75 or something. Anyway, quite nice.
Yeah.
I've got this one coming for me. And then staying with our Look at Me Wow girl, what Bobby and I have tried to think about, and as we give you more detail week after week on model stores and layouts, particularly with Carvela, but I think in general for our whole business, we have to think about how customers shop. So this explosion that is occasion, particularly on Carvela, because that's one of its strong DNA categories, I suppose. What we've tried to do is divide Look at Me shoes. Now, there could be more than one heel height of Look at Me, but it's not for the shy or retiring, and taken that Look at Me bit and separated it from that sophisticated, elegant woman there. So in a sense, these speak for themselves. If I mention Kendall Jenner again, I'm going to bore myself. But she is definitely, for all brands, the muse of the moment. So one can imagine her in something like that as an occasion shoe. And Bobby has promised me he's sourcing clear things to go inside rather than these slightly cloudy things. We know the DNA and the success on things like this, but doing gillies on a court shoe all the way up the leg, I suspect will be successful. And then based on the success of this one, having more colourways and more versions from this girl in the key colours of the season. This actually tucked away is probably quite important because this, I suppose, is the more everyday version that you can wear with your skinny jeans that goes with this little Kendall, baby Kendall, Kylie. So Look at Me speaks for itself. You love it or hate it. It's what Carvela's good at traditionally. That's there. Which we have separated from a more grown-up, more elegant, more sophisticated, different sort of mindset. I don't think this is anything about age. I think you guys will know more than me, but my 22-year-old cousins that are forever emailing me, thinking, oh, Rebecca will buy us a nice gift with a pair of her shoes, it would be nice to her. And of course I thought it. I'm always surprised they're more here than here, but definitely these are just two different mindsets. And I think sometimes this part of our business gets lost and doesn't take as much money as some of our competitors because you can't see it for this stuff. So I've really asked Bobby to think about how we divide this up. Now this doesn't mean these aren't for special things. There's plenty here that's special for special occasions, but it's not quite as noisy and in your face. Frankly, we were late coming to the party with this row, probably because we run Manolo's business. Therefore, there's always a bit of trickiness, frankly, for me, about how much you are inspired by your most successful, most profitable brand. Bit trickier if you're us and some of our competitors. Anyway, I've been dragged to the party. There are lots of versions, so for your girl that has watched Sex and the City and likes the proposal shoe, arguably the most famous shoe in the world, there are many versions at different price points depending on your retail distribution. More everyday distributed ones. And then the same feel but on lower heel heights. Again, you could say it's more classic at some lower heel height. I'd argue it's more modern. Bit more clean, bit more sharp, bit more fashiony. I could wear that with black jeans and feel quite good. These all come with match bags, by the way. More classic version in the same thing there. Inlays on flats. Again, plenty of our glitter and lurex. If I'm honest, I've cleaned it up a bit. I've taken a few core lines off here, frankly, because I haven't got room, because I'm showing you everything and there isn't one part of our distribution in the whole company that gets everything at once in this room. We've still got plenty of the nude glitters and lames and jewels. Clearly in an autumn-winter come September, that always dies off. And you've got that period sort of between April and September when it's most of your occasion sales. Then it dies. But I also think we've got too many versions and you don't need it. And it's annoying because you could have something else that does a different job. So we spent quite a lot of time going through that. But there are still all your key ones there. Some more smoked versions for winter, a bit more winter appropriate, and all your gilly ties done in versions that you've had as some of your core, but with lace, and more fashionable versions without being crazy. This sort of shoe, one of these, the sample had a wooden heel, which is when you haven't put down the last, how they create a shoe, and I tried to one, of course, the heel snap. So I should better not pick the prototype with the wooden heel. But all of these, when I think there is a girl that wants a bit more noise in the Carvela way, I put that on, and then you'll have some without, depending on what sort of girl you are. But I think that's all quite critical. The prices are quite good here. And what I also asked Bobby to endeavour to do and work with you guys to make sure it works at retail is have evening sandals and slippers and shoes in the same area. So there are lots of things, furry pom-poms, which are quite cute, lots of newer versions of bows, both in fun ways, classic ways, heavy ways, elegant ways, lots of versions of that. And I suppose that leads us nicely on to Carvela Day. Now again, I've tried to split this up. We're working quite hard in this area to reinvigorate day courts, if I'm honest. Weirdly, it is one of the hardest categories if you're a designer to do, because high fashion, lots of bells and whistles, is sort of easy. Making something not look like everything else, but not making it look crazy, making sure it's comfortable for the person that needs to wear this sort of shoe all day, is quite tricky. Now what we've endeavoured to do is, rather than have these sad little wallways where it's all sort of clustered together at the bottom, it's always at the bottom underneath something else. I'm trying, this is our first go at it, you'll need to feed back how this works and hopefully it will get better. I've tried to think about Michael Kors woman, if you like, which is more this way, and slightly more dolly Carvela customer. You'll know what I mean, a bit more curvy, a bit more round-toed, a bit more nude in there. Therefore, you're either one sort of customer in general or the other. So this is where you get a bit less shine, a bit more leather. 2 years ago, the feedback in all your numbers was you couldn't sell leather in this category, and our poor sell-throughs spoke for themselves. The slowest rates of sales, the customer didn't care if it was all PU and shiny. It breaks me. spring just gone, we introduced a bit more leather, and for some reason I've not quite understood, but I don't care because I'm thrilled, you're selling it quite well, so you've got a bit more, and if you look at spring 16, which I'm just signing off now, there's even more. But this world is definitely in this Michael Kors world. Now there's a bit of fashion for transitional, this sort of end of some time of the year on top. But generally, this is more professional workwear. For some people this will be occasion. Let's be clear that in our heads what we just call a court is still, when it's in a high heel, occasion shoe for many. But there is much more of this different heel heights in these sorts of shoes, much more Michael Kors woman. And what I asked Bobby to do is, we definitely need handbag areas for Carvela, particularly in places like House of Fraser. Now I know we've got some stores where we are challenged for space, Westville for example, but we've also got House of Frasers with Baldwins. Again, the numbers tell us that we take more money per square foot metre, with you guys, on bags than we do shoes. We also know by analysing Jude's figures against ours in both House of Fraser and Debenhams that the only difference in the turnover is bags. Now, however many exist in my head that I sign off in the design studio upstairs or see here today, when I walk into a House of Fraser, I'm always underwhelmed where the bags are. They always seem to have more presence in June, for example. So I've asked Bobby to think quite carefully and work with you guys on how we do that better, because you will take more turnover. The maths is very clear that you will. Now what we've done is we think we need a dual approach, sprinkling sometimes, but also areas that are good at bags. Now, this category of product, these sort of day courts, I think needs some sprinkling with day bags. Therefore, in this case, we've put all the slightly more professional, if you're me and you go to Virgin Active at Barbican, you see all these girls that look like everyone else in their gym kit, and their tattoos and their wonder bras, and I see all this going on in the mirror with the straighteners and the wands, and then I see them put these suits on. And they totter out to the accountants or bankers in Canary Wharf around the corner with their Michael Kors bags. Brilliantly, about half have now got a Carvela bag, please donate it because they don't know who I am. But I think this girl wants some of those bags and needs to see a destination for day shoes. The thing about Kurt Geiger and why when you come on a Debenhams map, a House of Fraser map, look into a Kurt Geiger store, the thing we've got is we sell shoes from £50 to £250 across all fashionabilities. That's the thing that should make it possible for us to do good turnovers versus some other people. It's why a Kurt Geiger shop tends to take more money than an LK bench. But the other critical thing if you're a customer is all the different parts of the day, all the different things in your wardrobe you need. Now we've been brilliant as a brand, all of you guys, me, the press team, everyone that works in this business, at selling us as this shiny thing. Sally's built us beautiful shops with chandeliers and loads of mirrors, and you've all got lovely staff that look beautiful and shiny. But we're not just a shoe for Friday or Saturday night, and none of us can take the money if we are. Therefore, it's critical that we show that brilliantly and are proud of it, because I love that. I love that we're the Christian Louboutin for the high street. But do you know what? I also want to be where that girl in Virgin Active gym is going to buy a shoe to go for work. That's really critical. So this is a big piece of work, along with the handbags on Carvela, to not let all your competitors take that day customer. We really all need to think about that. So in this case, we've worked quite hard to make sure we've got variety of heel heights, shine, suede, leather. There'll be more of that that to come in spring, summer. We're more competitive here over price. But this sort of woman, but my words to express this are never as good as I'd like them to be. This customer is slightly different from Michael Kors' customer. This is a bit girlier, a bit softer. Toes are rounder, shapes are more dolly. Whether it be a core line or a platform or a suede little navy blue one, there is something quite different in this world from that world. I don't know if that makes sense. This is more nude, that's more camel, that's more point. This is more cute, more sweet. If this was a spring, summer season, we were looking at sandals or occasion, this would be more bows, if that makes sense. So this we've done with softer, less tan, more mushroom and ivory and black and gold hardware. This is just a slightly different customer. Perhaps, I mean clearly there are a lot of customers in this world, but perhaps this is a bit more John Lewis and that's a bit more House of Fraser. That's a rather simplistic way to frankly say it, but you know what I mean? And I want us to really try and differentiate between the two, because I think then we look like we've got something to say to that customer. And I think these are the categories that need bags to break them up in the way that occasion can have match bags when it's the sort of shoe that needs a match, or it's wow pieces that speak for themselves, and boots don't need a huge amount of bags because they take up all the space anyway. This is what, if you're Dale, the finance director, triples the profit of the company when he does his 4-year plan. This is what makes us go from being a medium-sized company to a big one, proper big one. The rates of sales and the numbers here are extraordinary. Now we've sprinkled some bags through, but really what I'm showing you here is 2 key stories. Obviously over in Carvela, London, you're all leather. You're not here, but you're not paying for it here either. So this is about Saffiano, it's about crop. They're still the 2 biggest trends. Doesn't matter what price point you are. But we're in PU world here, but you're in quite a design world. So some of these you'll know because they're core lines that have been reinvented, written on it. More attention to detail for those more practical people that like to look inside the bag before they buy one. But this, I suppose, is our fashion story. In these quite soft, quite Carvela, but quite fashion-forward colours. So we call this one cranberry, this one sapphire blue, and this is new pink that's more rose in tone than perhaps we've all seen before. Lots of bright colours, lots of sizes in Saffiano for people that want all core shapes and colours, as well as people that want brights. We sell both actually across the company fairly equally. And then for those people that don't like Saffianos, some tumbled leathers, so lots of details here, outer zips, again like the one on Kurt Geiger that I showed you, that keep your precious things safe, that allow you to be able to pull out things you need all the time. Lots of pockets and hardware. And then again, tumbled leathers with croc detailing. They look really nice and expensive, and the hardware's heavier and chunkier and a bit richer than we've had before. And then because it's a croc season, don't see why a customer that can't pay those prices can't have it too. So we, and you'll find everyone has, frankly, have exploded the croc thing. And really across all fashionabilities. Therefore, if you like to have a £3,000 Celine bag and you can't quite stretch to that, you can have one of these, smart, modern, elegant, particularly beautiful, I think, in that soft grey. I think that feels really expensive and luxy.
Lovely.
But goes with everything too. Lots of practical ones with top zips for the person that's paranoid that the rain or someone's hand will go inside. I'm the girl that has never had a top zip. her life, that has her whole life, you know, spare watches, spare rings, jewellery, phones, iPads, Apple laptops, a couple of outfits in my bag, huge Prada makeup bag, that walks around like this the whole time around Oxford Circus. I have never had anyone go in my bag. It's fun, it will be fun. And I'm 44 now, so you know, maybe I've just been lucky. But lots of practical ones, and again, because the dolly woman is important, lots of cute little ladylike ones. This one actually is also particularly good. Again, look, practical zip shoulder handle, about 7 compartments. Trouble is with all these practical compartments, you can't put shoes in them, or vote. Anyway, not everyone is the same. And then for super trendy person, this trendy, bit more Alexander Wang with shoulder strap satchel that opens both back and front. Quite cute and fashiony. Again, don't know how well you know the numbers. Tiny little range. Don't intend to make it massively wide because we're not short of SKUs in this business, as you can see. And we struggle, frankly, to get the right SKUs in the right store because we've got so many of the wretched things. But again, in the right stores, this is really taking good money. Now this goes back to Rebecca, we can only sell things made of PU and everything's got to be 65 quid. And it can't be the case. And therefore I thought, well, there are a few stores where I know, John Lewis for example, where a customer will pay more for leather, for comfort, for something else, doesn't just shop with her eyes. Now, of course, John Lewis has got the best sales per square foot of this collection, but some of House of Roses had really good results of this. There's pockets of brilliance, or they don't like it. So the scientists have to make sure we optimise it and send it to the right places. But we're getting more and more confident about these. This has been the company bestseller. This will continue, this becomes a core line, and there are a few of those here. But there are lots of new things too. Now, I have a bit of a religion here. Just if something looks comfy, it doesn't make its way into this collection. So you know there are plenty of shoes in life that you think because they've got a lower heel, they look a bit wider, they look like they're made of a nice material, you think are comfy, then you put them on and they're dreadful. It can't just look comfy. These have to be made in these proper factories. These aren't made in normal shoe factories. These are made in tree factories that only make comfort. That's what they do. They work with orthopedic specialists that mould the bottom of the shoe. It's not just about putting more cushioning in, it's making sure that the shoe is shaped to the curve underneath the sole of your foot. It's making sure that the support around the heel is different. Far too technical for me, frankly, to understand, but it's a different process. So they have to be that. They can't just be a shoe that at a distance looks a bit like this, made of PU, somewhere else in our business, that actually feels like cardboard. Different thing, you're asking a customer to spend more money, they've got to be super flexible, they've got to be really comfortable. I am not writing the word comfort over something and lying. Not right. Therefore, we continue to challenge the team to get the right things from these people. So we've learnt lots of lessons, spent a lot of time hunting around John Lewis and looking in Russell and Bromley and seeing what they sell best. And obviously more boots, because you're going into a fall winter season. Listen to me, I sound American. So all this time in Asia, basically. So that's Carvela Comfort. And then I think the last thing is Miss KG. Brilliantly in some stores, far less good in others. And of course you can think you're doing really well with Miss KG because you're running around, your teams are in stock rooms trying to serve 1 million customers, but of course you've got to sell many more of these to hit the same numbers as you do the brands further up the chain. Broadly, and this I'm showing you is actually phase 1, so you will have another drop of new styles, new colours, new constructions that come in the second half, winter as opposed to autumn, if you like. So I suppose in truth, Miss KG divides into two. It divides into very wearable, very pretty day and night shoes, and then, a bit like Carvela, it has the wows. So, not sure which you've received already. You've had this already? Mm-hmm. This already? This is the story that if a customer wants to invest in something that will run and run, is this. This more animal, more fierce, more Brazil trend that you saw on KG, starting with Kendall and Givenchy, is the trend that's going to run and run, in fact get stronger. So this mixing animals and lizard prints and snake prints with graphic black and white will also be massive for spring next year. So for in Ibiza or want to be in Ibiza, in fact I will be in Ibiza in 2 weeks. Not in years. Too old, too sad. That story is really important, and a more playful, fun, less grown-up, designery version is one like that, that has all the sort of DNA of Miss KG that we love. And then you'll all remember our bestsellers. So we coloured with the lime rather than the orange to fit in to this little world. Then you will remember my Chanel clog story. Still think we've had this spring-summer of tan clogs and jeans and flowery shirts like this. Still think there's a really important move in this transitional part of the season into black. You see those with a pair of black opaque tights on and little skirts, they look wicked. And the ankle boot with skinny jeans looks lovely and is so comfy because you've actually not got that high a pitch because the platform's really deep. And it's a nice wide construction, so even if you've got the widest feet in the world like me, they look quite good. That also comes, which isn't even here, that comes in a boot. That clog also comes in a boot, which I don't think is on the shelf, it comes to there, which looks amazing. And press have loved that a lot. What else is important to show you? I suppose this 70s thing becomes more wintry and more night. So think of Yves Saint Laurent in the 70s. Think about Tom Ford's era as the creative director of Yves Saint Laurent. Think about Paris in 1970 something. So that real glam disco era of fashion. That's quite an important trend, and that's what all these iridescent jewels are about. And then taking the same colour palette and same theme, but in a sense for our more girly girl, doing the same shimmering tones that look great with black in this platform with the bow and the little single sole. So really, really cute. I probably don't need to talk you all through our bestsellers. And there's probably not much to say here. The numbers tell us that you're selling colour. Oh, well done. Look, as if by magic. The clog over the knee boot came. Please try this on, because I was a little sceptical till I tried it on. It looks amazing on, and it feels brilliant. I think you feel quite modern, quite edgy, but it's super comfy and nice with these gold studs. So that's my favourite. lots of bestsellers here. You're not selling much colour at the moment. Now, if you're me, you walk around mock shops and you walk around showrooms and design studios and say, God, everything's black or it's nude. The trouble is you lot can't sell anything else. So you need to get a bit better at it, otherwise merchandising and the scientists will take everything that isn't black and nude or tan out of the company and then we'll look really boring. So we do need to sell a bit. So you've got lots of sort of bestsellers there, punched occasionally with brights. If you sell a bright, you sell blue better than anything else. You probably know that better than me. And you've got those where you need them. If you want to know where real fashion's going, and we have two versions and we're just distributing them differently because we can't frankly decide. This shape, square toe you haven't seen for a while. Taylor Swift wears this sort of shoe quite a lot. These have traditionally existed, being slightly lower, less chunky heels, round toes, in that dolly world of Carvela. That world, that woman's still there, of course. But this is a different world. This is more Taylor Swift, more Miu Miu, much trendier. This trend is getting stronger and stronger, and all the designers for pre-collections for spring 16, that means stock that gets delivered in November in the world of designer, early spring, there is tons of this. We think commercially it's probably quite difficult because actually that's quite high. Your pitch, that is a much more comfortable shoe to wear than that because the pitch, the angle, that's a single sole, no platform. But this is where Taylor Swift is increasingly going. It's where the designer world is really going. Therefore, it makes sense for us to try this trend, try it in a more fashionable way, try it in a more conservative way, split the distribution, we haven't got loads, and see where this goes, because it's better for me to try it at a cheapest price point and try it at the top. But this is quite important for high fashion girls, and I'd expect in our businesses like regional Selfridges, Topshop Oxford Circus, our more fashion-y businesses to be able to sell all of this. That's just to know, that's the sort of thing that no one notices and then no one knows why it does sell or doesn't sell. It's quite important though. And then probably, last but not least, boots. And really, this is just the lessons and the trends that I've shown you in the other brands. Nothing's any different, there aren't new trends. It's all about over the knee, it's all about 70s. What you will find here is that the value for money ratio has really increased. We have got better at finding factories that can do these prices and work with leather, not non-leather. So whereas your customer is probably perfectly happy in occasion and courts to pay less and get PU in shiny materials for day wear, in boots that becomes more tricky, particularly in day. So there is a higher leather content, and where we still think price is more important than leather on certain items, we've got better PUs that I don't think you can tell are PUs and still have that lovely soft handle. So all the things that I've talked about, fringing that you've seen, tassels, fringing, still our core lines with the chain, lots of over-the-knee boots, block heels that you've seen at more expensive price points. Bordeaux, I think that is a particularly nice boot with its lovely gusset there that's a bit more interesting than a normal nylon. But all the sort of key shapes of the season, without this becoming so big, it takes over everything. So 65% of your sales in October and November need to come from boots across the brands. That's what the maths says. You need to double the size of your bag turnover, and then everything else you need to do just the same as you normally do. But they're the things, if you want to hit the numbers, double the amount of bags you do, sell more boots in October and November. And then you do your numbers. Easy. Good luck.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Amazing. Perfect.
Men's. Men's and handbags have traditionally been 5% of our own brand mix, so the small bit. Bags have now got to 16. Some stores you're at 22, some are at 6, so there's something for all of you guys to think about there. Men's is still tiny. Now, if we've put all our energy into getting you a bag business from a quality, price, aesthetic look, Bobby is going to kill himself to make sure you have all the tools for it to look fantastic. You're going to meet the deal with me and make sure you give it plenty of presents and your staff understand about it and your staff love it as much as I do and talk to your customers about it. Men's is my next pet project. Actually, kids is my next one, but men's comes first. So men's has been tiny. It's a real opportunity, particularly in freestanding stores, to grow our business. Therefore, I've employed an entirely new team. And they're fabulous, really fabulous. And I've just signed off the first part of spring, summer, and it's unrecognisably good. But that's about spring. I've obviously known this was coming for a long time. The new team have been with me now 3 months. Therefore, autumn is about us trying to grow a little bit, but trying to maintain the status quo, clean it up a bit in order for this big wow to happen in January. That will mean next year we spend more marketing men's, investing more time, space, energy. The men's team won't like it for me saying it, and they're only just up there. But if I were you and I were prioritising in a relatively small freestanding store, your space for this autumn, bags should come ahead of men's. And I'm not saying take men's off the floor and put it in the store, but I'm saying that if you're growing spaces, it's bags that need growing faster because we're 6 months ahead. However, there are some lovely things to talk about, and I will give you a quick summary. So menswear is all about mixing materials, mixing textures. Colour clearly can never be quite the driver in men's as it can be in women's, and therefore it's about mixing textures as well as colour and shape. This boot, therefore, is quite critical for the fashionistas that you get shopping, or whatever, a male fashionista. That could be a fashionista. Could it be a fashionista? Yeah. Okay. I don't know what the men's equivalent term is. Maybe it can be. Anyway, for him. Fashion guy. This is, we designed this for him. Actually, I'm laughing at myself because our finance director also and I would describe Dale as many things. Fashionista, I would. Shouldn't be saying all my secrets down here on film, should I? But this is really nice. It's light, but it's practical, with all the mixed materials, with the bit of denim, with the leather, with the oiled suede. I think a really nice shoe for the season. Men don't miss the shearling trend. So again, and it's hard to believe now because it's a boiling hot day today, but when it gets cold and miserable, this furry lining goes all the way through, and again, nice heavy tread on the bottom, really practical and quite cool. Comes in tan too. The sort of Prada meets Dr. Martin heavy pleated sole is also important for a fashion guy. So if you were to walk around Selfridges, you would find that shoes like this, again with that spazzolata or box leather on it, are critical, whether it's done in a very young way like that, or done for Dale, bless him. Upstairs, so still very fashiony, again in these new tones that are like nearly blacks, so a really dark bordeaux, and midnight blue actually with a grey suede there. Again, little less heavy but quite practical rubber soles, so stop them perishing in the rain, and quite fashiony in a double monk strap, which is at the top of the designer market, the formal shape to have, and a loafer with the Scotch grain apron on the front. We've seen real success with navy over the last year, therefore we've got a little bit more of it this season, not just in shoes like this, but again in a more formal double monk strap. I was in a meeting with the Boring Banks the other day, and two of the incredibly wealthy, I would guess, as their bank guys were wearing those in these colours the other day. But also in chukka boots and a little Oxford there. Really nice. And then for Trendy Boy, and also because we are becoming more international, we've now got, 17 Kurt Geiger stores away from the UK, across the Middle East, now in Hong Kong, now in Macau, now in Shanghai. The British credentials become more important. And if you ask anyone that isn't British what's the most famous shoe from the UK, they will of course say the Chelsea boot, made famous in the 60s on the King's Road, and therefore in a sort of music from the 60s way, we've done this super cute little trendy version on KG. Part of its 60s credentials is how low down the ankle this comes. This looks nice for the guy in the skinny jeans with the little rolled up trouser leg, and is the real opposite in that lounge lizardy 70s way, opposite of this heavy chunky look, and both are important. Anything to say about super formals? We've covered everything here. So across price points, we've got some lower price points at the entry level, but conversely at the top level, we've really worked to improve the leathers and the materials and the shape. This, for example, on KG, I think looks super expensive. Very nice detailing here on a rubber sole, and that very expensive looking flat lace that you'd see again on a formal in a brand like Prada. And that's KG, so it's a great price. And again, for super trendy guy for the evening, the double monk strap, this time in a short ankle boot, still again quite 60s inspired, modish, and a chisel-toed little boot with the apron front as part of that loafer story. If you're really fashion forward, it is the loafer that I suspect all you lot will think looks really classic, that is the trendy thing for men as well as women. And therefore, across the price points, we have lots of versions. For day, for night, for tassel, with tassels, with woven details, plaited details across the apron there. These are, if you watch male bloggers in Milan and Florence for all the big fashion events, that's what they're wearing. It's the trendiest look at the moment.
Okay.